And this is our list of the stories that you'll be talking about tomorrow. What is the latest on the alleged threat from so-called Russian bots? Is the United States helping to fund militants allied to the Ukrainian army? What are the most important news stories you might have missed over Christmas? If you're one of the more than 200 million Americans who thinks the war in Afghanistan was a bad idea or who supports withdrawing troops from Syria, you might be a Russian bot. That's according to the cyber intelligence firm that recently authored a report on Russian disinformation for the Senate Intelligence Committee. But this group has been exposed for running a disinformation campaign of their very own. RT's Dan Cohen is joining me here on set to explain a little bit more. Dan, this is a little bit confusing. Talk to me about this Senate Intelligence Committee and who they hired.
Okay, well, the Senate Intelligence Committee basically outsourced two reports, hired two private companies to do reports claiming that there is a Kremlin-backed campaign, disinformation campaign, waged against the American people in support of President Donald Trump. Now, these reports came out about 2 weeks ago, and but since then, the New York Times got its hands on an internal report from one of these companies called New Knowledge. And in this report, internal report's own words, they carried out a false flag operation in the Alabama Senate race.
Well, what exactly happened there? I remember that race last year. How did this false flag go down?
Well, basically, this false flag was part of a disinformation campaign in the Alabama Senate race. And so what they did is this company, New Knowledge, purchased a whole bunch of Twitter bots. Okay, then they put their bios in Cyrillic to make them appear Russian. Had these accounts follow the Republican candidate Roy Moore, and then went to the press and said, oh, look, all these Russian accounts are following Roy Moore, so he's Kremlin-backed. And the media headlines went crazy with it.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's all things Russian, right? Well, that wasn't all, though, right? There was also something about Facebook involved.
Yeah, exactly. Now, one of the other methods that the cyber meddling operation used was they created a Facebook page, a fake Facebook page that reached out to a third-party candidate named Mac Watson, and this was in an effort to divide the Republican vote. And so basically what they did, they reached out to this guy, Mac Watson, and said, we'll connect you to the Washington Post, to the Montgomery Advertiser, and got him interviews in these major papers.
And local press.
Yeah, exactly. In order to basically take votes away from Roy Moore, pump this obscure write-in candidate up, and split the vote, which is exactly what Jill Stein has been accused of doing.
Right.
That she's Kremlin-backed in order to split the Democratic Party vote.
Well, you know, if you go have dinner in Moscow, you know. But New Knowledge, you say this group. Who is this group? What are they?
Well, New Knowledge is basically composed of former spies and veterans of the Obama administration. Most of their work is actually for private firms. So say you're like an oil and gas company who has some pesky problem of environmental activists. You hire New Knowledge, and they'll just smear these activists as Russian bots. And
what do they do to identify people as bots? What's their methodology?
Well, they're not very transparent with what their methodology is. It's mostly guilt by association. So, you know, they'll find similar language. So they see it here, they see it here, then it's all a big conspiracy. Yeah. So according to one of the researchers, their bot identification method sometimes mistakes real people who post anti-imperialist arguments about foreign policy for Kremlin trolls. So if you have concerns about the U.S. dropping bombs across the Middle East, or maybe backing neo-Nazis in Ukraine, then, according to them, you're a Russian bot.
That's all it takes, okay?
You know, for viewers at home, actually, I want to run the soundbite of their CEO explaining in an interview they did how to know if you're being manipulated by Russian disinformation.
Okay.
If it makes you feel too angry or really provokes that type of almost like tribal response, then it may be designed to manipulate you. People should be concerned about things that encourage them to change their behavior.
Okay, so if you're too angry, now has there been any fallout, any consequences?
Well, Facebook suspended the account of the CEO, who we just saw, Jonathan Morgan, as well as 4 other accounts. But Facebook hasn't said who those accounts belong to, what they're up to. So there's really no transparency from this. And we're only left to wonder what those accounts were doing, if they were possibly meddling in other elections, or, who knows what they could have been up to.
Okay, I'm pretty sure there's going to be more fallout to come, and we'll have you back on to discuss. Thanks, as always, for being here for us. Dan Cohen, thank you tonight.
Thank you.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.